depending on what time you're watching this. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I hope that we will be learning together as I will be sharing my researches and insights on crafting or designing a curriculum. Curriculum design, by definition, is a process of thinking through how you want to organize what you want your students to learn. So, whereas lesson plan is for the plan that the teacher have for a certain day or lesson, and a unit plan are what the teacher wants to do over several lessons or several weeks. Curriculum plan should be what the teacher wants the student to learn over the year. Thus, a curriculum design is forming set of lessons that will obtain the objectives for the students in the entire school year. So, we have this certain goals and certain objectives for the students to learn in a certain grade level. In curriculum design, we must take that into consideration. For example, how will we be able to make sure that the students will develop their speaking skills, right? Or how a certain skill will be attained by the end of the school year. So in curriculum designing, we will be taking that into consideration. Designing a curriculum isn't easy, and because it is complicated, it needs to be carefully thought through, and it also involves strategic decision making in the part of the teacher, since we differ from each other and we also have different attitude and different backgrounds in life. I could say that as you design a curriculum, it would really be personalized. So I would only lay out, based on my research, the steps that one may follow in crafting or designing a curriculum, but it would truly be dependent on how a teacher would apply the steps or how he or she may find it easier for her or him to do or follow. Step one for crafting the curriculum would be to identify the principles and purpose of the curriculum. It is good to know what are the purpose, what are the goals that you wanted to attain, in order for you to know what steps to take. As they say, begin with the end in mind, meaning we must know what are the outcomes that we need to deliver, outcomes that we need for our students to attain. And then there are also the principles. There are principles that we need to adhere to. And because of these set of principles and purpose, we can have a right direction as to which to take our students. Crafting the curriculum would be you would be able to reflect your school's values, context, and pedagogical approaches, and also the needs of the students. In essence, your principles should clarify the vision for your curriculum in order for you to be able to holistically develop the curriculum, especially because of the complexity of the job. It would be easy to get distracted. It would be easy to be lost as to what's next. What lesson do I have to tackle next? Or what activities do I have to make my students do? This principles and purpose will be our guiding star in order for us to make sure that the lessons and activities that we do still aligns with our vision. The second step is the entitlement and enrichment. So this is where you develop your pupil entitlement. And this pupil entitlement should explain how you intend to broaden your curriculum. For example, your pupil entitlement is for your pupils to become a good communicator, meaning throughout the whole school year you intend for your students to become good communicators. Thus the lessons and activities that you are going to organize in your curriculum will be aligned to that entitlement, so that by the end of the school year they will be able to attain the entitlement that you set out for them to achieve. For step 3, we have breadth and balance. This is where you curate the content of your curriculum. It is when you need to look to the programs of studies and make careful choices about what to teach, when to teach, and why to teach those topics. And then you have to decide which concepts and subject aspects your curriculum will cover. You really have to keep the goal in mind in order to align the curriculum, especially in this third step, wherein you'll have to break down your goals into smaller parts in order for you to identify the knowledge and the skill objectives that will serve as the building blocks for learning of your students. This should be carefully sequenced, revisited, and built upon through your curriculum. These decisions will eventually form your school's long-term curriculum plan. Prime steps in order to attain your goals. From the bigger picture of the principles and purpose, and then you have the entitlement of your students to the breadth and content. Now for the fourth step, we have the teacher narrative. This narrative contains the plan of how to deliver your curriculum. After creating your long-term plan, in the third step, you will need to provide a context for delivering it. At the cornerstone, you do this using projects. For subjects like history, the national curriculum sets out various contexts that must be covered, such as the history of the Philippines. And for the subjects like arts and design, you will have to create your own engaging context. You will have to craft or plan for activities that will involve your students and for them to be interested in the subject. The teaching narrative within each project or unit should be set out how learning will be delivered. This teaching narrative should be sequenced and cohesive, clearly showing the starting point and how the project develops. Crucially, your plan will need to show how subject knowledge and skills outline in your long-term curriculum plan. So you must really revisit your long-term curriculum plan and build upon those learning blocks. This process is very complex and it takes time to perfect it. However, when completed, it will set out your medium-term plan, which you can elaborate in short-term plans if required. Step number 5 is sources. Sources should be high quality in order for you to deliver your curriculum at your best. Curriculum must not be let down by poor quality resources, because inadequate resources will not only dilute the power of curriculum, but also it can cause. Best quality resources is vital if you want your children's learning to be factually correct. And you should not deduce your curriculum by accepting anything less than high quality for your resources. The last step for crafting or designing curriculum is review and evaluate. This is when you decide what works well and where there is room for improvement. You now have an established curriculum. Therefore, the next step will be to regularly know the impact on teaching and learning, whether it helps you to guide the students towards achieving the goals of their learning, or does it only mislead the students. We should be able to make adaptations or changes in order to improve the curriculum plan even further. At this stage, you may also identify continuing professional development or CPD, be able to get better ideas or learn more in order to be able to apply it to develop your curriculum. Because especially nowadays, wherein the information is really fast changing and we are able to understand better our students, there are also many changes that our students undergo to, for example, like modular learnings, and then by the next year, especially if we are going to adapt into limited face-to-face, or maybe a lot of changes. So it would definitely be best for us and for our students if we will be open for learning different platforms. I guess that would be all that I can share to you. Here are the sources of my research. Thank you for watching and God bless.